Hello, hello. Welcome. All right. We are at our closing session. We made it. Let's have a round of applause for us. Woo. Thank you all so much for coming. I hope your brain is a wonderful mush of stories and mapping thoughts. Mine is right now, obviously. I'm Jazzy. I use she, her pronouns. I'm part of the board, newly part of the board. And Harrison, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Harrison. I use he, him pronouns. I'm the treasurer on the board of OSM US, and this is my second year of my board term.
Woo-hoo. Awesome. We are almost half. These are other folks that couldn't make it, but they're here with us in spirit. We just want to give a really big shout out to all of our sponsors and all of our members that make OSM US possible and this conference possible. If you aren't a member yet, we really encourage you to become one. If you are passionate about OpenStreetMap, this is a way for it to continue to exist. Awesome.
Let's do a round of applause for the sponsors.
Yes, round of applause for the sponsors. All right, prepared to do another really, really big round of applause for the OSM US staff that made this conference possible. Putting on a conference is not for the faint of heart. I know how much labor it takes, and in doing a multi-day conference, how much mental real estate it takes, so I really have so much gratitude for our team. If you all are interested in joining the board, Harrison's going to talk a little bit more about it, but I just wanted to share a little bit about why I joined the board. I started off as a special education teacher way back when in an alternative school in Chicago, and that kind of planted the seed for me in really wanting to understand how people learn and how to communicate. I feel like my career has kind of like zigzagged and tumble-dried into many things like social work, data, writing, film, but I think a through line for me is really creating communities, and every time, you know, I see a map or I see OpenStreetMap, what I really see are people and life, and I think that's why I'm very passionate about OpenStreetMap, because it's a place where democracy can still exist, and that's really critical, especially right now. So that's, in a nutshell, why I joined the board. So I'm going to pass it to Harrison.
Yeah, so in terms of my story of joining the board, I got involved as a hobbyist OpenStreetMap contributor. I have no GIS training, I have no professional GIS experience, but my professional experience is in nonprofit accounting. So I ran for the board specifically for the purpose of being the treasurer, basically. And so just to talk a little bit about the board. So it's a 5-member board, and then it's all elected by OSM US members. So if you aren't a member, you should absolutely join and vote on the board or run for the board. And what has a relatively new change in the OSM US board is running 2-year terms. So what that means is that when new people get elected to the board, there are always experienced board members to help guide them through. So it's offset. Three members are elected in 1 year, and then the following year, two of the members, and then those 3 are replaced, and it alternates back and forth. So no one is just thrown in with no experience. It also gives you time to get your feet under you, and then actually like start to really get into it in the second year. And then the best part of being on the board is that we get to, well, we don't have to provide that much oversight because Maggie is a fantastic executive director. So the oversight and guidance, we don't have to provide very much, but we get to hang out with Maggie once a month, which is the best part. And then help guide and, you know, sort of inform the path forward for the organization. So we wanted to share a few things. Hopefully most of you are already on the OSM US Slack. That's kind of where this community exists the other 363 days of the year. And then we also have a couple things where you can follow what the board is up to with the board elections. That's the page for the most recent elections where Jazzy and Kiri got elected. And that kind of gives you a little idea of how that process works, nominations, the voting process, and everything. And then we also, from our monthly meetings, we post the board minutes. That's on the OSM wiki as well. And then I think we're going to hand it over to you, Maggie, to talk about the rest of the evening.
Before I say anything else, I think I'd like to just, let's all give ourselves a round of applause for a really awesome conference. That was good practice. We'll do that again later. Why does this feel so tall? Actually, I wanted to open it up to all of you. I mean, it's great to have Jazzy and Harrison here. We can do a little quick Q&A if you have questions about the organization or anything else that's been on your mind. We have a little time today to create kind of an open conversation forum. So does anyone have any questions? Is it about anything about the board or about the organization or about life in general? Don't be shy.
Hello. You mentioned earlier that there's a new advisory council. Could you talk a little bit about the things they're going to do? I guess I'm curious about that.
You talk about the advisory council.
Okay, thanks. Sure, absolutely. So as Jazzy and Harrison just kind of described our governing process, it looks a little different than a traditional nonprofit. So our board members are elected by the community. We're a community-driven organization, which means our board members tend to play a different role than a traditional nonprofit. So they are really our community liaisons. We make sure that we're keeping to our mission and really staying on track as an org as far as the community goes. With the addition of the advisory council, that allows us to appoint folks to fill other critical roles that a nonprofit might need. So should our amazing treasurer, who is also an accountant, ever go, we might need some financial support, legal. So we've invited a lawyer to be part of the advisory council to help a lot with fundraising and any other kind of things that we might need on that front. So there'll be a very different role than the existing board, more of a complement. Did you?
Yeah, I think Maggie did a really good job covering it, but kind of the thought process generally, from my experience in nonprofit, is you want to recruit, you typically would recruit for your board in very specific ways. You're thinking about who can help fundraise, who can help open the right doors for the organization, who has the right expertise, and so we are balancing between being really community driven. Whoever the community chooses, that's the board of directors, that's the primary governance, but the advisory council gives the organization the opportunity to do that really intentional recruiting of specific individuals who have the right expertise or the right connections or whatever will bring the benefit to the organization.
Good question. Thanks, Ariel. Other folks, things on your mind or questions? I know we're all tired. I'll head off one that I know I'm getting. Where are we going next year? There have been no decisions made about a future State of the Map US for next year. I encourage you to follow our newsletter. As you know, the landscape out there is a little rocky, so we're just going to kind of take a couple months and see how things are looking, but we hope to be able to throw another party for y'all next year. Questions? Alyssa's coming with the mic. Don't trip.
I have noticed a bunch of people being interested in accessibility across different working groups. Is there a process for initiating a new working group within OSM that we can start? I'm thinking more geared toward accessibility, maybe across trails and pedestrians, etc.
We don't have a formal process, no, but it really just takes interest and someone who's willing to facilitate and set a regular cadence. So definitely just follow up after the conference, and if other people have ideas for working groups, always open to that conversation. I think it's a really great way to connect throughout the year and really build together, so absolutely, Sam. Excuse me. Anybody else? I'll do the long, awkward pause. Let them think. No, party. All righty. Oh, did we have one more?
Sorry if I missed the answer to this earlier, but I remember there was some worry that like Slack could go away because we were over the number of people. Did that ever get figured out?
Excuse me, the hard ones. Yes? Question mark? We changed to a different plan. But if no one's seen any impact in usage, then let's just keep our fingers crossed that it's going to keep going, I guess, is the answer. Because we're up to over 8,000 folks there. Yeah. Excuse me. Okay, got one in the back. Uh-oh, cue dog. Uh-oh. What do you need to know?
Hi. Yeah, I was just wondering if you'd talk a little bit about the next year outside of State of the Map, and also maybe what some of the risks to the organization are. I think people take OpenStreetMap US for granted sometimes, and there's a lot of work behind the scenes to keep it going.
Quincy. Oh, that was a good one, Quincy. Thanks. Well, I think we all kind of know maybe the landscape out there right now isn't favorable for nonprofits in general. Nonprofits operate on money that's kind of left over. And right now, there's not a lot of money left over. OpenStreetMap US, we're pretty transparent with our budget. We generally keep 3 or 4 months of runway, and that's about it, which is also living pretty close to the edge, right? So the risks are, those traditional sponsors or companies, academic institutions, federal government sources, kind of holding things closer to the purse because of the uncertainty in the world. I think there's some other risks out there. I mean, the less we can be out in front of communities, the fewer people come into MAP. So this conference was really a great reminder and makes me really optimistic about the future of the people involved, honestly. Sorry. So I think a lot of it's just those external unknowns, which I know are probably affecting all of us in our worlds outside of OSM as well.
Yeah, I think. So I think from particularly the financial side, the structure of OSM US financially is really anchored by organizational members and conference sponsorships. Those are the big things. So that's where we have kind of an interesting two-part where community-wise we're really driven by individual membership, and you should all join as individual members and be really involved in that. But the financial basis is kind of slightly disconnected from that, being in the organizational members, in the sponsors. So those of you who are here from organizations and you get a lot of value from interacting with the community, that's where you can play a really big role in the sustainability of the conference and the organization and all the work as well.
As a new member to the board, I can't really speak to the books or future trepidations. I also work for another nonprofit full-time, so I'm always thinking about that as well. But I think something that I'm really dedicated to, also with Kiri, is creating more promotional materials about OpenStreetMap and the data that's out there. I think a lot of folks don't even realize that they're using OSM data. So an example of that, during this conference is I'm trying to capture more video assets of really what this community is about, to kind of gain more diverse perspectives to join us. So that's something that I'm looking to positively with the next year.
And you're looking to interview people.
Yes. Oh, yes. Also, I know we're a shy group, but I'm looking to interview folks about how you use OSM, how the conference went for you at the party later on. So if you're feeling ready to be on camera, please find me.
And part two of your question, Quincy, was kind of what the organization's looking toward for the next second half of the year. A little bit of the same. I think we are going to start trying to tell our story a little bit better. A lot of times with a small organization, your head's down a lot. So we're going to work a little bit more on communications, outreach. A lot of tools are in our world right now. So keeping OSM, CHA, and Map Roulette and the tasking managers going. And then expanding those really community programs. And we're working on micro grants and the Mapillary Camera Grant program. So over the next year, we really want to dive even deeper into building communities at a local level. So any way we can help with that, if there's ideas that you have on things that we're already doing that we might do differently, or things that would help you potentially start a new meetup or grow your community, we're all ears. We often have town halls and mappy hours, and Slack is also a good forum to share ideas and work together. Any other questions? This is fun. Let's keep going. I will say each year we reflect on the year and do kind of strategic priorities. And we talk about that with the board and the staff every year of like what went well, what we want to move forward on. Education will continue to also be a big piece of what we want to do, and trails. So our Trail Stewardship Initiative is a big piece of what we're doing a lot of work with. And hopefully potential partnerships with other nonprofits to help them continue to fill their data needs. So a lot of stuff. Good.
I have a question. What was your favorite part of the conference this year?
Oh my gosh.
Can it be a favorite and least favorite?
Sure.
I loved how many people showed up. We got over 300 registrations, but I did not love that probably more than 50 people registered within the last 2 weeks, maybe 75. So if you plan to come to another event, please register before we have to get our t-shirt and lanyard and food numbers in, because that really helps us.
Favorite place?
I'm still thinking.
Okay. I feel like I say this all the time, but I love people. So I really love to learn technical things, yes, but I love all the like minutia and details I learn about people's lives. Like in Clifford's talk, I learned about, safe walkways for young people that are going to school, and how like it's a little trepidatious walking over train tracks. I'm obsessed with like very little intimate details about people's lives, and I think it's very generous for people to share them. So that was my favorite. It's always my favorite. Least favorite. Honestly, I apologize to my team because I chose such an early train ride to Boston. Like we got up at 4, we left at 5 a.m., and we just didn't have to do that. So that was the worst part. I'm not fully rested.
I would kind of echo that with I feel like the conference is really fun, but then all the social events around the conference are also a great time. So I think we're going to do a bike ride between this and the social. So if you're interested in riding bikes, find me and we'll do that.
Wrap it?
Yeah.
All right.
I have one more board-related thing. If you have questions for the board, we have on the Slack, there's a channel there that's called Board Forum. So that's the place to go and ask any questions about governance. If you're curious about running for the board or have any other questions the rest of the year, that's the place to ask.
All righty. Anyone have anything else they want to bring up before we wrap this present up? Oh, we do.
Well, I just want to take the floor now that we have the opportunity as a first timer in the conference to thank everyone for this amazing space and the community. It's wonderful. So it was really nice to meet everyone, and especially to have like this vibrant space in the middle of like a moment where hope is always so good for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. And honestly, my favorite part is looking out and seeing all of you, and it's just amazing that all of you showed up this weekend. Thank you again for spending your time here and for making, this is such an amazing, amazing group of people, and I hope that these relationships endure over the year, and that we're all able to get back together next year somewhere in the nation. And I just love this, so please give yourselves another round of applause. One announcement, if the person who won the Open Historical Map Challenge would please find Jeff for your prize. A reminder to follow the OpenStreetMap US newsletter for upcoming events and news. And then tonight we will have a party, so please take a few minutes, maybe do a little legs up the wall, relax, and then come join us at the Cambridge Hyatt from 7 to 11 p.m. for cake and drinks and some heavy hors d'oeuvres. So hope to see you all there, and safe travels to wherever you're going, and thanks again for being here.
Very fitting you wrote your notes for the closing session on the 0 minutes remaining side.
0 minutes remaining.